what really happened with the Colonial Pipeline, and how was this attack similar or dissimilar from other recent or historic attacks? Don, why don't you start off?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Thank you, Michael, and thanks everyone who's attending. The pipeline was attacked. The attack actually started on the 7th of May, and what it was a ransomware attack against their IT network. So someone, and somebody in administration, an executive, somebody in their email, clicked on a malware link in email, and the ransomware started, and they took down initially the IT system. Luckily, they never got to the SCADA systems or the operational technology systems, and Colonial Pipeline shut down their pipeline just as a precaution to make sure that nothing could get into it. At that time, nothing did get into their network, but they definitely ended up paying millions of dollars in ransomware.
Is there any, how would you compare, Larry or Susan, how would you compare this to any historic other attacks that have taken place? I mean, in this case, it was ransomware, and we actually saw a pipeline shut down. In terms of the scope of damage, in terms of the technology of the attacks, and also the scope of the damage, could you give us some sort of sense of other similar attacks in recent history?
Well, I know this kind of made me think about what happened with Target and some banks, and I think everybody knew about those, but not everybody was affected by them. Now, obviously, this doesn't affect everybody. In fact, I'm in that little gray area called Delaware, in between Maryland and New Jersey. So our pipeline was not cut off, so we we didn't have a shortage. But I won't say that we weren't impacted, and so I think that this had a greater impact on people. Also, if we think about, first of all, prices of gas went up for everybody, including in Delaware, even though we weren't on that pipeline, right? Because it's a perception factor. Also, we think about power, being out of power, being out of gas. These utilities have a much grander effect than my credit card got taken by Target and I call and cancel it. You know what I mean? So the impact to people in general, I think this was way, way bigger. I think more people felt this, and even people who were not on that pipeline, like myself, still felt the concern about, hey, this could happen to me next time. This could be me next time waiting in the gas line. And so I think that it was a much bigger deal for Americans in general, seeing this than the Target or the banks, which are like a limited scope of people and a limited impact. Even though some people may have had identity theft due to some of those other things, there's sort of a lot more that people could do in that situation. Also, I mean, even if your credit card is hacked, you have some things that you can do to change that. But with gas, that's pretty limiting factor. I know lots of people who said they didn't travel on account of this pipeline issue.
I mean, I think energy is a huge sore spot for us, where anyone can really get at the energy. If anyone gets at the energy supply, it can be devastating. Look what happened with Texas, where it wasn't hackers, but just the weather taking it down for 4 or 5 days. And this is not a new attack. I mean, I think as someone was saying, Russia does these kinds of things, Ukraine all the time, and test out new ideas, and then they put it on the world. So they did shut down in 2 winters back to back, I think in 17 and 18, Ukraine power for a couple of days. I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what could happen. It's certainly a very soft underbelly for us. But this, to me, is totally different than, let's say, SolarWinds, which was very much mitigated, a much more sophisticated attack of the supply chain, the software supply chain.
Yeah, I think that, Larry, is a good point that you mentioned Russia on this, because it was ransomware that the Russians had built that was used in the attack on the Colonial Pipeline. It was part of the dark side effort, and Russia itself has multiple labs where they just developed this malware. The ransomware that hit Colonial is available on the dark web for anywhere from $500,000 to 5% of whatever you get in the ransom. And this has been available for a long time. It's known, and people still fall for it. But Russia was definitely the actor here, and Russia has a lot of experience in doing this. They're responsible for the destruction of one of the pipelines going into the Ukraine, where through a cyber attack, through malware, they turned off a series of valves that then caused pressure to back up and blew up one part of the pipeline.
Which I could easily see happening.
Could you try again?
Don, in some of our pre-panel discussion conversations, you were talking about Stuxnet, and I think you used terms that it was kind of brilliant in its sophistication. And, you know, when we talk about malware such as ransomware, are we looking at something that is relatively crude in terms of its technological sophistication compared to other more sophisticated attacks? And could you give us an idea of the spectrum of sophistication, say Colonial, Stuxnet, and things in between, in terms of how broad this the range of attacks can be?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Stuxnet was really was a brilliant piece of software in both its development and delivery. And we need to keep in mind that it's been 16 years since Stuxnet was released, and other than the SolarWinds attack, which was also equally brilliant, Stuxnet is still one of the marvels. And it went after although it was going after Iranian centrifuges, what it hit also was the oil and gas industry. We saw it in Malaysia on 2 offshore rigs prior to it having been widely used and adopted within the Iranian centrifuge system. And it was a very large load. It was a couple of megabytes, and it had specific targets. And the specific target was Windows servers and Siemens PLCs, programmable computers that basically do the control of the different systems. And then at the same time, it had to have what's known as a variable frequency drive. And the variable frequency drive in the centrifuge is what controls its spin. In the oil and gas industry, it's what controls the power flows going to the different parts. And it was completely very sophisticated. And it took the people who built Stuxnet were the combination of Russian mathematicians and Israeli computer scientists. So it was a fantastic piece of work. The ransomware that took over Colonial Pipeline, any of us here, any of us on the panel, or actually any of you who are attending, given.
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN to earn, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.